Welcome to the 3BA podcast, where bourbon, boners, and being awesome isn't just a catchy tagline, but categories in which we discuss different topics every single day. My name's Garrett, and I'll be your host along this journey through the bourbon and whiskey craze, men's health issues, and everything that life throws at you in between. On today's bourbon review, we're going to do a product from, you guessed it, 1792. There's a lot of products from 1792. We're going to do one that's a little bit harder to find, a little bit more on the what I would consider rare side, but also one of my favorite products that they put out continuously. Now that's kind of your hint. Continuously put out. They have a couple products that they only put out, or they've only maybe put out once or twice. This particular product seems to come around, I would say yearly, if not semi-annually, or that's twice a year for those out there who are wondering. But with no further ado, we are going to be talking about 1792 Sweet Wheat. That's right, Sweet Wheat. It's as delicious as it sounds. The 1792 Sweet Wheat variety is a great product from the 1792 line and from the Bourbon distillery. They do a great finished. I take that back. I don't know if it's finished. Crafted. There you go. Craft with a different distillation recipe, as I just found out, for this particular product. I'll tell you the proof. It's 45.6% alcohol, therefore 91.2 proof. Other than me telling you it's one of my favorite products, I'm just going to crack one that's already open. I have two of them, thankfully. One that's almost gone, as you can see, and one that's not. It's completely full. And I've said it before, if you're able to do so, always grab two. One to drink and one to have. For me, the one to have can mean one of two things, and I've alluded to this in the past. If you drink it and you like it, you have a backup. If you drink it and don't like it, maybe there's somebody else that does. Take that however you'd like. But the reason I wanted to review the Sweet Wheat variety is because this is going to be one of the early on products that are unique and have a value that's greater than the price tag in which you might pay initially. If you're fortunate and you get a chance to get it at the MSRP price, it comes in at a whopping $37.99. Now, a lot of you are like, no way. $37.99, I've never seen it for $37.99. I'm here to tell you that the recommended MSRP price is, in fact, $37.99. That's recommended directly from the distillery. Now, that's in Kentucky. You guys have known from now that I am in Ohio. In Ohio, you can look up prices of liquor. This comes in at $37.99. So with no further ado, I'm going to pour a little bit into this glass. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. You know what my three categories to discuss on any product and any bourbon that I pour out for you. They're, would I drink it again? Would I buy it again? And would I pay secondary for it? My quick story about 1792 Sweet Wheat goes like this. Traveling through Kentucky on one of my many bourbon adventures, hunting and searching and trying to find something new and exciting, and in my early days of the bourbon craze, I didn't know what 1792 was. I saw these odd-shaped bottles with the gold tops, and I couldn't tell you if there was a different band around the neck. I couldn't tell you if there was a different color. I had no idea. I would just see them. And for those bourbon old school purists, you would know that it originally came out as Ridgewood Reserve, and they didn't have any variations. Came in a similar bottle, similar top, different band. Ridgewood's a throwback for those who know the collection and know how much that particular bottle is worth. We'll talk about that on another podcast. But it's worth a lot of money now. Ridgewood changed to Ridgemont Reserve. Ridgemont Reserve then changed to 1792. Small batch. Comes in a red banded neck. It's your everyday shelfer. We can review that if you'd like on another day. But that's the progression of their original, just straight bourbon, if I'm not mistaken. Straight bourbon, small batch whiskey. So again, just for my own mental sake, Ridgewood, Ridgemont, small batch. Some would argue that it's the same distillate, same juice, as they say, same recipe. I have had the opportunity to try the Ridgemont Reserve next to the 1792 small batch. I can confirm, not based on tasting notes, wink, wink, but purely on my palate, they taste very similar, if not the same. But everything's about marketing, right? Everything's about branding. And what 1792 did is they knew they were going to start to release different products, and they made these nifty, colorful bands around the neck. Takes me to Sweet Wheat. As I'm searching in my Kentucky honey holes, as we can just call them, I saw 1792 very plentiful on the shelves. Again, this is very early on. I saw the 1792 Ridgemont Reserve, the one with the khaki band, and then I saw the 1792 with the maroon band, the small batch. I saw the 1792 single barrel, that's another review. Saw the 1792 bottled in bond, another review. And I also saw the 1792 Sweet Wheat. So what does any new, excited bourbon connoisseur do? I bought one of each. I did. I really did. I bought one of each, spent way too much money at the time, even for me. It was a lot of money. And I got them for very close to the cost. However, this was in Kentucky. I can tell you that I did not get it for $37.99 in Kentucky. It was actually a little cheaper back then. I can't tell you exactly what I paid. I don't want to lead you astray. I will tell you it was more than MSRP at the time, but less than $37.99. Again, this is me dating myself and going back early on in the bourbon journey that I've been on. But I got it for cost. It was sitting on a shelf, many bottles of each. You want to taste them all, right? I'm sure you do. I know I did. And especially if you're new, you don't know what you like unless you try it. So there we are, checking out, buying all these bottles. I remember specifically the cashier saying, "Oh, I didn't know they had this back there." I said, "Well, which one?" And he said, "Well, most all of them. I see that they've changed their label and their branding, hence the Ridgemont to the small batch." I said, "Yep. Know anything about the rest of them?" And he goes, "Nope, but it looks like that one's sweet." And that's the review that I got from him. Guess that one's sweet. So before we start and I get into my three kind of categories of a review that I always do, I spent some time in a previous episode teaching you how to drink bourbon, or at least how I got taught to drink bourbon. Let me clarify before people start throwing shade. And what I'm going to do on every one of these reviews, bear with me, for those new that are watching and for those who have watched previous episodes, I'm going to start the way that you should start, or at least in my opinion, tasting every single bourbon. That is neat. I've said in previous episodes, I like my bourbon chilled, but when trying a bourbon, especially for the first time or it's the first drink of the night, there's a process in which I follow, which I'm going to elaborate on. But I also like to chill it, and I will get to that point. Whether you can all scream at me or not, that's fine. I'm going to drink it the way that I like. No further ado, you take your first swish or your first sip and you swish it around for about 5 seconds. Oh man, so much flavor. It has got the 1792 small batch bourbon and is definitely blended with a different recipe. It's unique. It's not your average bourbon burn. It does bite or have heat, as some people would say, a little bit higher than your standard proofed small batch. It's coated my mouth, and it's already gone away. Not salivating like I did on other bourbons. Swish number 2, 5 seconds. Less of a burn, more flavor. Already hit the side of my tongue. Oh man. It's bringing back memories of sitting down and trying this for the first time. Bought 5 bottles. I bought another bottle with that group, but I bought 4 bottles of 1792 that day. I can do math. I bought 5 bottles of 1792 that day. The Ridgemont, the small batch, single barrel, the bottle and bond, and the sweet wheat. 5. I actually remember where I was. I was sitting in an apartment in Lexington, Kentucky, on a very short, small coffee table, and I had them all lined up. I was drinking with, we'll call it an acquaintance. He wasn't a great friend, but he lived in Kentucky, and I had met him when I moved there. And I remember we went right down the line. We got to the sweet wheat, and we unanimously agreed it was, generically, it was the best. I'll say the best. I know there's better descriptors out there, but it was different. It was the best of the 5. Oh man. Now for this last one, I've got some ice. Yep, you can scream and yell and comment all you want. I put 2 of my smaller cubes in there. It was a smaller pour. We'll do an ice episode, or if we've already done it, you can check it out. Crystal clear ice, chills the bourbon, dilutes it slightly, melts at a slower rate. And now we're on to the 3rd sip, as I do with every bourbon. No swish needed. Oh, the burn is gone. And it just, man, melting in your mouth like a M&M is not what I plan to say, but I'm just going to tell you that it just coats your mouth in this unique profile. It is a unique profile. I think I'm going to start a grading system, kind of on the fly. Grades like in high school, back in my day, and I'm going to age myself. We're not going to do that E grade or whatever it is where you don't get Fs. We're just going to start doing A, B, C, D, and F. Old school grade system. There's going to be pluses and minuses. I'm making that official right now. This right here, that's an A. That is a solid A. For those of you who are going to say, Garrett, where would you rank it in your bourbons? I know that you're asking. I'm just going to tell you, if I saw this readily available, I would grab it. Number 1, would I drink it again? Absolutely. Would I buy it again at cost? Absolutely, I would buy a case. Would I buy it on the secondary? Maybe. So now you're saying, what do you mean maybe? Well, I did some research. I wanted to give you guys the information that you're looking for. Where do you get it? Where can I find it? How much is the secondary? On average, and I just skimmed from this previous year, I found this bottle on the secondary market for roughly $100 to $115. Now you're probably saying, holy crap, $37.99 to $115? In my humble opinion, I would pay secondary price for this. If it stayed around the $100 to $115 and I didn't have any readily available. Now, I don't have any readily available other than what I have in front of me. But what I mean by that is if I knew it was going to be released again, or I knew that there were whispers of it being dropped somewhere, I wouldn't pay the secondary price. If I knew I could get it in trade with something else that I had, I wouldn't pay the secondary price. So take that maybe as it's well worth trying and having if you can get it or what you feel comfortable getting it for. I'm just here to provide you the information. Secondary value that I researched, 100 to 115. I can tell you that in local places in different areas of the country, it might go higher. Again, limited availability. Also, depending upon the time of year that it's released, you could probably get more or less. So don't take my word as gospel. It's just that's what I did the research on. And when it drops, if you're only allowed to buy one, definitely buy one. And if you don't want it, shoot me a message and we can work something out. Right now, I have the one that's closed, one that's sealed, and one that's open. I drink it on special occasions. I don't drink it every single day, but it's one of those unique flavors. That's what I'm going to keep saying. Sorry, I'm going to do better. I'm going to try to get better descriptors for you, but it's a unique flavor profile. It doesn't burn like some of the higher proofed bourbons burn in your mouth. It's probably not going to be for everybody. In fact, I know it's not for everybody. Some people don't like the sweet wheat variety. And to the cashier that checked me out the very first time, almost 8 years ago, when I bought these bottles, when I bought my first bottle, he was right. It's a little sweet. Oh man, did I give a review? No, I just kind of gave you a little bit of the profile. So just a quick recap, and I know somebody asked me while I was doing these to maybe give where to find them. That would be a good piece of advice for people. So I'll do that. My 3 points that I'm going to stick with every week. I would absolutely drink it again. I would buy it again at cost, $37.99. And I said maybe on the secondary, as I've already explained, depending upon what I could trade or maybe what I could get for it. Now, where to find it. I told you can find it on the secondary. Someone's got it right now, I'm sure. Someone you could find throughout the country in any state or place that you might be able to search. You can find it. It's available. You'll have to pay or you'll have to trade to that level. But, and there's the but, where can you find it on the shelf? In the state of Ohio, it's allocated, but it's not raffled. What does that mean for you? The state of Ohio does a raffle. I think they do 1 or 2 every quarter. I don't think they do one every month, but they do them pretty regularly. And they will raffle off certain bourbons or releases, if you will, of different bourbons, especially the big names that you probably know about, the Pappies and the BTAC. They do those once a year. This, to my knowledge, is not in a raffle. This is allocated and is released on store shelves when it's released in the state of Ohio. The same goes for Kentucky. I'm very, very familiar with Kentucky as well. When they get it, they will put it on the shelf in most places. In some places, they'll put it behind the shelf on a wall. Maybe you have some points, or you get part of a group, or you join an email chain, or you're part of a system where you get selected. I know that in Florida, there's a particular chain that does their releases by email and somewhat of a raffle. Again, those are just the areas that I'm familiar with. And unfortunately, not every state gets it. I know that. I know that in Oklahoma, for example, you're not going to get this released. Maybe you'll get it released annually, but you're not going to get it released semi-annually, and you're not going to see it, and you're not going to get much of it. That's a story for another time, but I got to experience Oklahoma for a little bit. Didn't live there, just visited. So that being said, when it comes out, I don't have a date. I don't have a time. I'm just going to tell you when it comes out. Most places you'll be able to find it at your liquor store. Get to know your liquor store. Be nice to them. Talk to them about their shipments. If you start seeing posts from other people around the country where this is being dropped or it's being posted a lot, you'll see that, secondarily. If it's being put up for sale or for trade, that means it's going to be coming out if it hasn't already been released where you are. So always kind of keep that in the back of your mind. That's how I judge releases and when to start looking for different bottles. It'll be released in your area soon, or at least very close. In that sense, go if you're a line stander or if you're a release chaser, more power to you. Is it worth the MSRP in your area? Absolutely. So with that, 1792 Sweet Wheat, it got an A grade. First A. There you go. First grade. A for Garrett. I don't know. Take that how you will. But cheers. Enjoy. And in the future, I'll open a bottle and give out samples. And just get you to try to come back and entice you to come back. Cheers. Drink your bourbon how you like.